everybody. My name is Michael Buckley. Thank you. You're so kind. I can't believe I'm sitting. I feel like there's so much energy. We should all be standing. Welcome to the Sexual Orientation Panel. Oh my God. So we're gonna bring them all out one at a time. Are you excited? Okay. And I want to tell you now before I forget, if you do have questions for the creators, please use the hashtag #AskVidCon, and we'll do our best later on to do some of those questions. All right, here we go. Please put your hands together for Tyler Oakley. Stephanie Frosch.
Hi.
Miles J. RJ Agia. Ingrid Nielsen. And we have a surprise, Hannah Hart. Yay! Let's do it for all of our sexual orientation panelists.
What's up?
What's up?
You guys, it's so weird because I have bios for everybody. I don't really need to introduce them, do I? Do you want bios for them?
Yes.
Okay. Tyler Oakley needs no introduction, so Stefano. With over 7 million subscribers, almost 500 million views, winner of 2 Teen Choice Awards, recently on The Ellen Show, an award-winning podcast called Psychobabble, an international slumber party tour, and his first book, Binge. The cover is amazing.
Thank you.
Out this October. Put your hands together for everyone's gay bestie, Tyler. We don't have to applaud. No more applause.
God bless.
LO Steph creates brave, and you don't know, you should know these people, creates brave and fearless content on LGBTQ topics such as suicide prevention and body positivity, self-love, and much more in an entertaining fashion. She was the winner of the Ellen DeGeneres Dance Dare Challenge, loves romantic walks to the fridge, and is a professional hugger. Miles J has Miles J Productions. A comedian on YouTube, and I'm on the top subscribed LGBT-themed channels with over 500,000 subscribers. Miles started making videos in 2008 and was complete anime trash. Now his videos consist of improvised sketches, vlogs, makeup tutorials, cleverly titled Beauty for Your Booty, all filmed from his California home or his friends in LA. Yay, Miles! RJ runs the YouTube channel, The Not Adam, and half of Shep 689. There's Will in the front with his fiancée. He's been on YouTube since 2011. He's a panelist with Filter Free TV and the host of The Rebel Report. Yay, RJ! Ingrid Nielsen started out on YouTube in 2009, creating videos about beauty, fashion, and healthy food. Since then, she has amassed 270 million views and over 3.5 million subscribers, inspired by her refreshing content geared towards empowering women. She was a judge on the reality TV competition series Project Runway Threads. She is also the first CoverGirl Glambassador. And in June, she came out to her YouTube audience. Oh, this is amazing that they're showing Hannah.
It was very good news for Hannah.
Which has been viewed 11 times. 11 people saw it. 11 million times.
Just us.
So thank you, Ingrid. And Hannah was not. She's the best-selling author, the creator of My Drunk Kitchen, part of the Trinity that goes out and sells out around the world. And so yes, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh my God. Well, goodbye. Thank you.
That was good.
I would like to start with Ingrid, since, we've all been on LGBT panels before, I just want to say how lucky we are to have her as part of our community.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to our family.
Yes.
Welcome to the fam.
You know, when I saw Ingrid the other night, I said, I feel like I'm meeting you for the first time. You know, I feel like I'm meeting you for the first time because we're really meeting you for the first time. So just tell us, how does it feel to be here? How does it feel to be here on the stage of the sexual orientation panel?
I love you guys, and this feels amazing, and this is why I have 2 pocketfuls of tissues. It feels absolutely incredible. I just feel like I'm giving all of myself now, and it feels truly amazing because not only am I giving myself to other people, but my relationships now are more meaningful and deeper because of that.
And how has been...
She's gonna make me
So,
cry. Oh my gosh.
Ingrid,
unfair.
but while we've got you, I mean, most of us, I think, a lot of us were out when we started making videos, so we didn't actually come out. You were making videos for many years. Your audience knew you, not sexually identified. So how has been the reaction in your real life, too, from people who just in life? How's been the reaction? Besides this outpouring of love, but for you, like, what has been the best part, the scariest part, all of the parts?
I think that people in my personal life have been so perfect and wonderful, and it's been amazing to see just the way that they've all handled it, because everyone's different and everyone is supportive in their own unique way, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. And I think it's, you know, I just feel so lucky to have amazing people in my life. It's really overwhelming and awesome, and oh my gosh, this is happening, and this is real.
Well, we are very proud of you. So, you guys, it's been a year since our last gay panel. A couple of you were on it. I mean, gay marriage is now legal in all 50 states.
God bless gay
Love
America.
wins.
Yes. Woo! Yes.
High
yes,
profile
that poster.
content creators. I mean,
Hashtag
think
love
about
me.
all the people who have come out highest profile since we all last saw each other. Ingrid, Joey, Connor, and how important this year has been for our community.
And Shane.
And Shane recently, yay, Shane! And I mean, we, and not to be all like pop culture-y, but I mean, thank God for Caitlyn Jenner too the last year, because the conversations that we're able to have because of that. So, but just so we can get a better sense of you guys, because this is a straight sexual orientation panel, who in the room identifies as a gay male? Woo! Who identifies as lesbian? Woo! Who identifies as bisexual?
TB. Yes.
Who
yes.
identifies as transsexual? Good for you. Who is questioning? Who is a Q in the questioning? That's why we have the Q. Not okay. And who is asexual? I know some of you are. We talk about this all the time. So who's straight? Thank you for our allies. Thank you for our straights. But the reason I'm asking this too is anybody can take this question, but we talk a lot about labels and how some people now, the kids, in their Twitter bio, it says, like, I don't like labels. How are you guys with labels, Tyler and Hannah? Do you okay labeling yourself? Or are you like, no, don't put me in a box? What do you think about labels?
Well, I have been, I've identified as gay for over a decade, and long before I joined YouTube. So to me, I don't even think about it anymore. Like, I think, like, we've talked a little bit about how when you come out, you still have to keep coming out, because the first time is not to everyone on the universe, you know. It's like you have to tell people as you meet them. But me, I haven't even come out in a long, long time.
You don't mind that people, you're like that girl. I'm specifically, like Raven Simone on The View says, I don't identify as black or lesbian. I'm a person, and I don't like the label. So I'm just curious. So I was just wondering if anybody up here thought they don't like labels and they feel that way.
I'm fine with it, but I respect if people aren't. It's like, I can only speak for my own identity and my own person, and I would never say you have to have a label. Okay. For me, I'm like, I'm good labeling myself as I do, but.
Yeah, I've always thought that, like, we are using labels to move beyond labels, and so we have to be accepting of however anybody wants to self-identify, however they want to label themselves, eventually we're kind of just moving into a place where it's like, you can walk up to me and say, I'm blank. And I'm like, great, but like, how are you today? Like, what's your day like? Let's talk about some common interests. But we will have to evolve past that. And right now we're in a time where having a label gives you a sense of community. It helps you identify your sense of self. It gives you security. So
I think it also, well, having a label also helps with just reality, because there are a lot of the certain sexualities that people don't think are actually a real thing. So having a label is important because it helps just identify to the rest of the world that you are a thing that is possible. But yeah, I do think that eventually, in a perfect world, nobody makes assumptions about stuff that isn't their business, unless you want it to be your business.
But RJ, let me jump in about bisexuality, because it's wonderful that you brought that out, because you do identify as bisexual, and Shane came out as bisexual, and but we know what happens. We know what happens in the conversation or in the comment section. What do they always say? He's just gay. And so let's talk about that, because there are so many people who are bisexual, and why we don't need to be like, oh no, they're gay. Why do you know?
Well, it's like people call bisexual the silent majority because at the end of the day, because of all the bi erasure, it is easier to identify as not bi. If you're in a straight relationship, people also, if you're bi, wait, you're dating another man, you're gay. No, your orientation exists independently of who you date or who you sleep with or anything like that. And it is easier. It's easier to just kind of fall into the binary rather than try to change people's hearts and minds and to have that conversation over and over again about, yes, it's a real thing. Let me bring out the diagram with the Kinsey scale on it. Like, let's just... It can get exhausting after a while, so a lot of people do, like I said, identify as gay or as straight just because it's easier. But I feel like everybody's got a little wiggle room, yes?
But also, just so you, when you go home,
I have no wiggle room.
But when your friends tell you they're bisexual, don't tilt your head and don't be like, oh, they're really gay. Don't get in that habit. I'm just telling you, don't be that person. Because if you do it in the comment section on YouTube, it's like, he's told you he's bisexual. Say, great, I'm happy for you.
You know what I noticed? I did my first meet and greet yesterday, and I had more people coming up at the meet and greets, coming up in the line saying, coming out as bisexual to me. And I've had a lot of people feel comfortable telling me that they're gay or stuff like that. But I found a lot more people feeling comfortable, saying that they were bisexual, which I think is great. And we talk about this all the time, which is that you shouldn't assume anything about anybody. And like, if somebody's dating or not dating someone, you want to ask if they're like, so do you have a boyfriend or have a girlfriend? It's like, oh, is there like a special someone in your life? You use like a non-gendered word because you have no idea. You can't tell from the outside.
Right. And there's nothing worse than saying to a 5-year-old boy, do you have a girlfriend? Because then they're thinking, oh, no, I'm supposed to like girls. So when I see a 5-year-old, I say, oh, do you like someone at school? Or who do you got your eye at? Because the moment you put the heterosexist language to a child, they think, oh, there's something wrong because I don't like girls. But anyway, so let's just talk about orientation on YouTube and stuff. Like, Steph, Miles, like, how much of your content is LGBT-based? And do you feel an obligation to do content like that? Or what do you think, Steph?
Well, I started doing a lot of LGBTQ plus content because, I had a lot of free time growing up and I was gay. So I thought it would just, a great hey. And originally I started it because when I was growing up, I felt really isolated and alone. I went to a private Jewish school and I was the only gay person. Fun fact, I was sent there because my dad was worried I would date a non-Jewish guy, and hey, it worked. But I felt really alone, and I suffered through a lot of depression growing up, and my biggest thing was I never wanted anyone to feel that way. And when people started saying on my videos, I feel less alone, I don't know anyone gay, but your videos show me it's okay, that's when it hit me, and I said, I know I have to do this, so there is never an awkward 13-year-old out there who has to feel that way. And it's the same thing for how I want to raise my children, even with, you don't want to impose heterosexuality on them, you don't want to impose anything. Like, even I always say, when I have a daughter, she will never be pretty. She will be pretty intelligent. She will be pretty amazing. She will be pretty brave. It's just, demolishing the labels and being that role model and that representation is something I do feel an obligation, and it's something I'm proud to do.
Anybody else, though?
I pretty much started out like the same way. Originally for me, it was just like a creative way to express myself, and especially being someone who's gender non-conforming at school and being seeing few and far between people who dress like I do or who express themselves the way I did. It was a way for me to reach out to other people who were like me and enjoy the things that I like doing too, and to connect with them and see, to get a community. And a lot of my content obviously revolves around LGBT issues because I am an LGBT person, and I think that it should be a part of like general daily discussion. I mean, it's part of my life, so my videos revolve around what happens in my life, so I can't like avoid that.
So like Ingrid, when you came after that video, and I noticed when Shane's video, he kind of said, well, I'm coming out and that's it, goodbye, resume content, I'm a comedian, I want to make funny videos. Do you think that you'll talk about it more on your channel, or was that like, that's my video, now back to beauty and other things?
It is a part of my life, so I think naturally it will come up, but it's not something that I'm going to try and force into my videos, because it's, being a lesbian is a part of who I am, and there are so many parts of who I am, and I like expressing that, so it will naturally come in, but it's not necessarily going to be in everything.
It was kind of funny though, because when I made my first video about bisexuality, I thought, okay, I'm going to make this one video, and that'll be it. I will never have to talk about it ever again. And then I think after seeing the response, it was like, oh no, maybe there's more to be had here too. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's an obligation, but it's a privilege. It's great to be able to help change the world by just being yourself.
Absolutely. I was like a self-hating gay for like a really long time. And so yeah.
Anybody else self-hating gay growing up? I mean, it's tough. Hopefully you weren't.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Anybody else? Well, you hate yourself a little bit. Not anymore. It's great. But no, and even into the start of my YouTube channel, and even, moving to Los Angeles, like, I was really hesitant to be so open and so out and so comfortable, because I was afraid of getting stuck in a box when I was trying to figure out what my career identity was gonna be. Like, well, what's Hannah Hart in entertainment gonna be? Once everybody finds out I'm gay, they're probably just gonna wanna put me in like just a specific place. And so a lot of that was rooted in that still like kind of self-hating, don't lock me in somewhere kind of feeling. And I think now, like, as I've gotten more comfortable in all aspects of my life, I feel more than ever like a responsibility to the LGBT community and a privilege to be a part of it. And I want to be proud of that. And like, go to a parade.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You guys, so speaking of like being a role model, we talk about this a lot because, Taylor Swift is a role model. She likes it. Rihanna's like, I'm not a role model. Leave me alone. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You are all, honestly, this panel is just, these are like the most high profile people in the world. Tyler is way more high profile and more powerful than anybody in traditional
Look at
media.
him.
But I'm just saying. You could
Watch out, Ellen.
It is Harrison Mouse.
Oprah, out of the way.
The things that you can do, that like if Neil Patrick Harris, as lovely and talented as he is, and as Andy Cohen or Anderson Cooper, as lovely and talented as whatever they are, the fact that you can raise $500,000 for charity every year just is amazing.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of being a role model, do you feel pressure, like I have to behave properly and I shouldn't get caught licking a donut? Do you know what I'm saying?
Drag her.
Too soon? No, we're friends. Hey, Ari.
Oh my God.
What
is that in name? Okay, got it.
Does anybody feel pressure about when you're out, even at VidCon, like the first year I wouldn't hold a beer because I'm like, oh, I'm a role model. I should not. Do you watch your behavior because you're worried about these things?
I am conscious.
Yes.
I am, and I think it's a good thing for anybody to be conscious, whether you have one person looking at you or a million people looking at you, you are still influencing people. And I didn't realize that until I had spent many years not being conscious. And I didn't care, and I was like, I'm not trying to be something, I'm just being me, and like if I offend you, good luck with your life. But like, I started to realize that what my actions were and what I was saying and what I was doing affected people, whether it was, like I said, 1 million or one person or a million. It's still teaching people that might look up to me, whether I ask for it or not. It's teaching them what I find appropriate and how I think many people should act. And so knowing that, recognizing that, and being okay with it, allowed me to try to be a better me, and allowed me to take responsibility for my life, to take responsibility for my past actions, my future actions, be conscious of them, and hopefully use what I have to maybe influence people to be their better selves in some capacity or some type of way. And I always say, like, just because you never chose to be a role model doesn't mean you're not. Like, there are many people that will look up to a lot of people on YouTube or in traditional media or whatever, or even in your own lives. It's a responsibility that you have. And if you don't want it, I would even say it's like, I mean, I'm not saying change your actions, but be conscious of them.
Right.
And if, you can act however you want, but that does not mean that you are free of people critiquing that.
Consequences.
You're not, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence.
Ooh.
And
Yes.
Good. That's a T-shirt.
That was
This.
good.
That was really good. That's a great
Dumb
one.
rapper. Soundbite that was.
Did I say freedom of or freedom from? Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. There you
Go ahead,
go.
Hannah.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Hannah, go ahead.
You
In
got
that way,
Hey, Hannah, go.
Got to it, Hannah.
in that way, I really am happy that we kind of I became, I guess, a public figure later in life, or like not later in life, but like in my late 20s.
You're
my
so
20s.
You were a grown-up who had
I'm
gone.
such a grown-up, but I have done a lot. I've had a lot of rebellious things that I've done in my life that I'm no longer interested in doing, and I've made a lot of mistakes. And I don't know how much we can swear on the Kia main stage.
You can say
I can say
damn.
I can say damn. I've done a lot of damned up shit. Oh. My bad. Anyway, look, we all make mistakes.
Kia is out of here.
I know, they'll hate me. But I made, because you need to like grow and experiment and expand and make mistakes and rebel and do all those things. And in that way, I'm so grateful that I became a public figure kind of after
Yes.
that phase in my
Absolutely.
life. I do not, by any stretch of the imagination, want or envy the people that are younger than us, that are coming into the public eye, who will be judged and scrutinized for their actions because the right to rebel has been taken away from them because they're a role model.
Also, like, nobody's born with a sociology degree. Everyone, is
I have a
very
psycho-
subject to the people that they grow up with. I mean, you might be growing up in a community where it's normal and actually encouraged to hate certain people. So, like, once you go on the internet, I surely learned a lot of stuff that I did
You
not
did,
know.
and let me jump in on this topic for a second because I remember somebody Tumblred something you quoted in a video years ago, and you always say, well, I don't feel that way anymore, and now I know better, or whatever, but it's almost like the internet doesn't, because I said things in videos like 2007, did I mean it, did I feel it, who knows, who cares? If I know better, I do better now. Don't drag me for something I said 5 years ago, and you've had to deal with that on Twitter, and I'm like, leave the kid alone.
I will say, I think a lot of people say a lot of things. A lot of people are not recorded saying those things.
Yes.
So, but if we are, hold me accountable. But I will say, I don't believe in holding anybody accountable if you do not also take their apologies and their growth, and you accept that. I wanna not only expect the best from people and growth from people, but accept that growth when it does happen. So I think, demanding your idols or your people that you look up to or your influencers to be better is a great thing, as long as you also accept
Educate them. Just
that
educate.
that they might grow in the process.
And
Or isn't that the goal?
And I'm going to say one thing because a lot of you are YouTube fans and creators, and I'm going to say this. I said this in a video the other day, and I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm just going
Drag
to tell you.
them.
No, listen to me. I'm going to say something important. Quiet. I'm going to say something important.
Dad.
I'm sorry. Listen to me. If you are a fan of somebody who is behaving horribly, and we all know they're behaving horribly, and you're retweeting them and they're getting 20 or 30,000 retweets, I'm telling you as a fan, it reflects on you. So just be careful. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone has publicly been in a horrible situation and you're retweeting all these horrible things, it like happened last week, and I was like, why would you retweet this horrible thing, a derogatory thing? So just be careful. I mean, choose wisely when looking up to people.
No
you
one
know?
is obligated to be the same person they were 5 minutes ago, and no one has the right to scrutinize another person for that. We're all changing, we're all growing every single day. I'm a completely different person than the person I was 2 minutes ago.
Don't you hate when
Thank
they
God,
say to you,
though,
you
right?
changed, or since you started,
Oh, yeah,
Ingrid,
you-
or you're not the
Ellie's
same.
changed
Oh,
you.
Miles,
Yeah,
you've
that's-
changed so much, your content
That's
changed.
the refrain in our comment
It's like
section.
an insult, but don't you want to be like, of course
I'm
I started, I was
thank
20.
God.
Well, it's
Thank
also
God I've
the other
changed.
the other thing I want to bring up too is that look, if you're going to hold people to these standards, you need to also be able to hold yourself to those standards, because that's something that really bothers me immensely, is when people can like by all means definitely hold your faves to a standard, but don't make sure you practice what you preach and make sure that you hold yourself to that standard. And I think also something that kind of that spins off of this too is the fact that I think we all feel that pressure to constantly kind of be rehearsed and perfect and not make mistakes because we feel that pressure. But at the same time, I know that at least with me and Will, we've learned that part of being an example and part of being, I guess, role models, even though I'm hesitant to use the term, is also being able to make mistakes and to own up to them and to be adult about it and to be vulnerable and to just allow yourself to not just let yourself grow from the experience, but let everyone else that follows you grow from that experience as well. Because we all go through some rough things, and especially when you live your life in front of a camera, sometimes the mistakes you make are very public. But as long as you're able to learn from that and turn it into not just something for you, but something that can benefit other people, then I think that's even more important than constantly, making sure that you're not accidentally saying something problematic.
And kind of going back to identities and stuff, it's like I can, from the beginning, I could only speak for myself, but through YouTube, I've learned so much about other identities and other sexualities, and for me, it's been a great place for me to find out and learn, not just, from my own box of where I stand, but to see those people have their own platform, say what they want to say, completely independent from me. You know what I mean? It's a place for me to grow, and that's why I think the community on YouTube has been growing so much, is because a lot of the voices don't exist in traditional media, and a lot of those identities are not represented in traditional media. And now that YouTube is a place where y'all get to pick who you want to watch, I think you can find those identities in those voices, and it allows me, at least personally, to learn and grow and figure out more.
We have some really good questions. Sometimes when you ask for questions, you're like, scroll. These are great, so thank you. Do you mind if we do some questions from the crowd?
Yeah.
Georgia wrote,
Do some.
and anybody can answer this. This is a really good question, Georgia. Should I be worried about not being sure about my sexuality at 16?
Nope.
I feel like it's weird not to be clear about it. So any advice?
A lot of people don't know about their sexuality until they're 50. Like Caitlyn Jenner, or not even sexuality, but she is trans, and she just didn't even know, or maybe she had an idea, but she couldn't even come out.
Point is, it took a while.
Yeah.
Everybody
so
goes at a different...
Everyone has a different journey in their life, and how they want to express themselves, and how I want to identify, and what word they want to use to identify themselves. It's differs for everybody. So if you don't know and you're 16, and plus you're young.
And
so,
I think we all feel that way. So don't be worried. Enjoy your journey. And when you meet the right person, you feel the right feelings, you'll be like, oh, that's great. Until then, why worry about it?
I think it's so funny that people, I understand this, but I was even talking with, I wonder if I'm really about to embarrass my sister. I was talking to my little sister the other day, and she's like, how do you know when you like someone in that way? How do you know? And it's just kind of the same way when you fall in love. It's just oh, well, when you know, the amount of time you want to spend with them, the feeling you get around them. So don't try and worry so much about what your crush or your feelings mean for you in your identity. Just kind of allow yourself to grow in those feelings, and then the identity aspect will come thereafter.
And also, I would say it's if you don't know if you like a certain type of person, it's also okay to be asexual or aromantic and not
It is. And thank you to everybody in the YouTube community who's educated us about that, because I was not. I'm like, people are asexual, and it is a real thing, and I'm grateful for that.
I learned so much from my own audience, and they have taught me so much about these different identities that I haven't yet come into contact with necessarily, or I haven't yet had these deep conversations with necessarily. My audience has held me accountable to know about these things, because it's important to everyone, and I don't want to act like you should have a crush on someone, you should want to date a certain gender, or blah, 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 blah. To me, it's I want to learn from y'all, and when y'all have taught me that, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did any of you not know as a kid, or how old were you questioning for a year? You knew right away. I knew at 4.
My coming out was coming out of the womb.
Go down the line. When did you know to yourself? You knew at what age, dear?
I knew after I
Day
saw
one.
Rent when I was 13.
How old?
13 after I
So
saw
when
Rent.
you were
from
11, 12,
Menzel.
10, were
Yep.
you thinking you liked boys at 10, 11, 12? Or you weren't
No,
thinking
I
about
thought
it?
I was asexual at first.
You did? Okay. Did you?
I knew immediately in second grade. Yes, I was like, this boy, he likes to eat markers and he's really cute. And
I started feeling things in like middle school, but I didn't really let myself I didn't say the I am bi until 21, I would say.
Wow, yeah.
Even though I will also say too, just because you choose a label now doesn't mean you're married to it.
Right.
for life.
Absolutely. Great
So
point.
that's another thing. I just wanted to make sure we put that in there.
Ingrid?
Well, I always knew that I loved girls. I always had crushes on girls secretly. And I think it really hit me when I was in high school and I was like, yeah, I love
that's it.
girls and my body wants to do so many things.
And and I mean, you spoke about it so beautifully in your video too. And I remember you said also you talked about being insulted as we all were growing up. And someone said to you lesbian, and you said you went home and thought, so what? That's
Yeah,
what,
it's like,
wait, that,
well,
how is that
that's
an
me.
insult? You know?
Yeah, it's like, well, what's wrong with that? Because that's definitely me.
I love that you said that though.
Guilty.
Hannah, you knew did you have how old
Oh my God.
yourself?
How old? I don't know, because it's like, I guess I remember being in kindergarten and being like, I remember that my female friends or the girls in the sandbox gave me a special feeling, and then in my heart, and then the boys in the sandbox, I was like, I mean, they were like my buds, and then I remember distinctly in middle school, looking around the room and being like, what guy do I like? Oh, she is so pretty.
Now, speaking of liking people, as people on YouTube, it's got to be difficult to date and make those connections. I mean, and to you, Steph, you guys make videos. People know your significant others on camera. Is that? I mean, relationships are challenging enough anyway. What are some of the RJ? What are some of the challenges though of dating publicly? It's like a reality show for yourself. You're your own producer, so you can milk the storyline whatever way you want. But
Here's the thing, though. We were dating 2 years before we started actually doing videos together. So we already knew we had a strong foundation. We knew we were in it for keeps before we started doing this. So I guess my experience is atypical in that regard. Not to mention too that it was funny meeting him and then using YouTube to stalk him because he was already making videos, and yeah, he's YouTube OG. This one right down there. It's weird. You get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
It's something that you definitely, it takes some getting used to. But now it's I'm on camera, I don't bat an eyelash.
Right.
Especially since we know that it's something that means something to so many people.
Right. Yeah.
Some of you guys in the crowd, I can see. Because it means something to so many people. If anything, that makes it even better. Because it's not just me sharing love with one person. I get to share our love with thousands of people.
Thank you, RJ. And
It's
Steph.
great.
Steph, how's your experience?
Well, my beautiful girlfriend is the adorable blonde.
She is beautiful.
Right there,
She is.
who I love very much.
And can I just say, because Hannah and I have talked about this before and stuff, I love that there are 3 lesbians on this panel. It's amazing, because it really is. We always have one, and we're like, we need more. And I also love that there was a different panel that Hannah suggested last year. You said we need to have an identity. Anyway, sorry, Steph, go.
Oh, you're fine. All about that lesbian
So
visibility.
let's hear about Steph's relationship.
Challenges relationships.
Well, originally I was not planning on putting my relationship online because I'm a very private person, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep that on the DL. But I can understand because y'all are really professional internet stalkers, and I'm impressed because I do it too. So people started to find my girlfriend. At first, my girlfriend, who knew nothing about YouTube when we were dating, was like, what's going on? And then I had to come out as a YouTuber to her, which was actually harder than coming out as gay. But
Well, I hope she would know you were gay.
yeah, well, she knew that.
I love this question from Tina. Is topical. How do you think LGBTQ issues will have changed a year from now? So what are we going to be talking about a year from now that we're not talking about now? What do you see as like the next big thing, or what's more work do we need to be doing, or what aren't we talking about? You're good at that question. What aren't we talking about?
I really hope that we're going to start talking about protections for trans people.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
We also,
Thank you.
yes, we also really need to be talking about protection just for LGBT people in general and their jobs, for hotels, for travel, just all around that.
I think also, I mean, treating it like worldwide, things are not just what's
Exactly.
happening in America. And the fact that people are being killed just for
Who they are.
speculation of who they are.
Right.
Not even just like admitting their identity, but even being speculated as such. In a lot of countries, like that is a thing that I don't know if a lot of people know, and that's scary to me.
It's definitely important to make sure that as awesome as victories are, you know, with like the Supreme Court, like employment non-discrimination, I think was also just struck down by the courts too. But it's important that even as much as things can continue to be awesome here, like the work is far from done.
But
Russia,
it's also good to celebrate the victories.
Oh,
that we
for
have
sure,
along
for
the way.
sure.
I don't believe in people being like, right, we have gay marriage, but there's still so much more to do. There's no celebrating yet. Yes, there is celebrating.
no, let's
Yeah,
enjoy it.
definitely
Enjoy the
celebrate
moment.
No, but we have
Come
so much to
on.
be grateful
Definitely
for every
celebrate.
year.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
It's
Mom.
good to be conscious, like,
Right.
you know, as you celebrate, like, yay, and then afterwards, like, okay, let's turn down and talk about what else we're going to do in order to, you know, make the world.
Yes.
No.
So, I have a question to anybody because it's an interesting, because a lot of people, do you think content creators have an obligation to come out to their audience? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
No.
Oh.
No.
No.
I have thoughts.
I would love your thoughts.
CHOTS.
Thoughts.
Drop some
I
thoughts.
do.
That's what the kids are saying, I guess.
The kids, they say so many things.
Yeah.
I try and keep up. My thought, you know, there was a panel that I did earlier this weekend called Social Responsibility to a Younger Audience. And, you know, because I think, because I have a younger sibling and because we are influencers and because we have this, like, role kind of placed upon us, I take it as a huge, like, privilege to have so many people I'm accountable to make me a proud and better version of myself. And if someone feels that if someone feels like they need to hide something, that's a pretty good indicator that they need to just get it out of themselves. I'm not saying everybody needs to make an announcement if they don't want to make an announcement, but if they're like, oh no, I'm never gonna tell anyone, maybe rethink your thinking. If you're like, I just don't feel the need, then that's kind of the gauge.
Any other thoughts on that?
I feel it depends, you know, just coming out. Like, I don't know, like, you don't know what type of situation that person could be in with their family or their friends or, like, what their life revolves around. So asking them to come out could be a really huge deal for them and could change a lot of things in their life that they might just not be ready for at that time.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of, like, mental preparation and just, like, being ready to say okay, not only to yourself but to other people.
It's
but most
definitely-
importantly to yourself.
For sure, it's definitely not something because it can become such a thing that means so much to so many people. It's important, I think, to definitely let people wait till they're ready to do it, so that they're more able to accept, you know, the extra attention and the extra obligation or maybe responsibility or something like that. It's not something that I feel like people should have forced on them as much as sometimes the reality of the situation that is the case. And I think it's also important not just to kind of own up to stuff like sexuality, but I think there was a great part of Shane's coming out video that kind of flew by certain people, where he said, I've made fun of bi people in the past, but I was probably just projecting. That to me was even more huge than the actual, like, announcement itself, because that was about owning up to not just who you are, but some of the mistakes that you've made, and that was, I think, incredibly, you know, adult of him and fantastic.
Do you think? Oh, go ahead, Ingrid.
I think that the obligation, first and foremost, is to yourself, to give yourself the space that you need to accept yourself and to be gentle on yourself, because, you know, it's a journey, and just just take it one step at a time. Be gentle because you're doing the best that you can.
And I think also one last thing, sorry. Oh, yeah. Yes, it's really brave and courageous to self-identify and to come out or whatever, however you do it. But it's also, to me, really brave to wait for you to be ready and wait for it to be safe, because not everyone has the privilege of having a home or a country even where you can, and knowing when it's right for you goes hand in hand with knowing when it's right so that you don't put yourself in danger, and you are making sure that you have that support system if everything doesn't necessarily go as planned, because I think it's super important to stay safe.
Yes.
And also I think sharing your truth, not everybody deserves your truth. I think people deserve, I don't know how to necessarily say it.
I shot a video the other day, and one of the questions that came up was, how do I leave a toxic friend group? Like, everyone in my friend group from the past is like homophobic and racist and all the bad things. Like, how do I get out of this friend group?
It's like, bye.
Like, advice, yeah, right?
Bye.
Advice for it. But it's kind of like, what I decided was that if you feel comfortable confronting them by being like, that thing you just said, I don't agree with. And actually, it's why I'm distancing myself in this friendship, because we have different viewpoints. And if you can take that stance, there might be someone else in the friend group that thinks that way and is too scared to talk up. Or you can just detach and you can distance yourself. But I think if you feel comfortable and safe enough to voice your opinion, like, hey, actually, brah, my cousin's gay, so every time you say that slur, it makes me feel horrible. Quick heads up, you might want to give it that chance if you feel safe.
Do you think there's very good.
you.
Do you guys think that there's a right or wrong way to come out on social media, or do you have any advice or any examples that Joey came out via music video, it was so elaborate. Are there any examples of coming out via social media that you thought that was great, or ooh, it could have been a little smoother, or do you have any advice for coming out on social media?
Waterproof mascara?
Yeah, definitely, especially for me.
I don't think it's anybody's place to ever say you did it right, you did it wrong. I think people's journeys are their own, and anybody that wants to tell somebody how to live can go away.
Right. I do. Oh.
And also, it's like, I think, I see some people saying like, oh, you want to, somebody is only doing it to capitalize or to, have
Publicity stunt, marketing
I'm
strategy,
just like,
comments on the
how
YouTube
dare
sites.
you?
It's so horrible that
how
people
dare
say
you?
that.
Let's just assume, for fun, that all of that is true. It's still their right to do what they want with their channel, their life, their journey.
Can I?
Period. End of sentence.
Anna, thank you.
No problem. Ingrid, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What percentage of, because like Ingrid coming out, like there's, as we're all familiar with, there's not a lot of like, like super feminine representation of lesbians in media, and like there's not enough of that going on in traditional media, et cetera, and there's not enough representation, frankly, of lesbians in media at all. Anyway, what percentage of like comments in your comment section after that video was like, nah, not true? Like, she's just doing it for attention.
I think it's around like 10%.
Wow.
Which is really large in comparison to, I would say the males that have come out on YouTube, and it really I was taken aback by it a little bit, because when I would read comments from people saying like, well, you don't look like a lesbian, my response is, well, it has nothing to do with how I do my hair, the lipstick that I wear, how I dress myself. It's who I love. It's not all of this.
Yes. One other thing that also kind of bothers me is that, when all of these coming outs happened and a lot of people were being salty, some of the salty comments were coming from LGBT content creators, which really made me upset.
Really?
Yes.
I saw that too, and I was really disappointed.
I know.
I got blinders on. I didn't see that.
Yeah, there were just people being salty. I think, there's definitely, it can be sort of tempting to like see the flood of support and the flood of attention, and to just be like, man, if only, that must be nice. I would like to experience that. And I guess since I've been out with the exception of one video that I posted on YouTube that I don't like to talk about, I've pretty much been out the whole time. So it's tempting to kind of see that and be like, man, I wish I could go on Ellen and get 10 grand. But at the same time, it's like, no, what you sound like is the kid at the birthday party who is jealous that the birthday boy, girl, child, whatever, is getting more attention than you. And it's just like, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look.
Thank you, RJ. Logan asks, what advice, because a lot of you are from towns you were kind of alluding to earlier, anybody can answer this, what advice could you give to people who are living in homophobic towns/communities? Do you have any advice logistically or just at least psychologically how to deal with it while you're there?
I always, sorry, were you going to say?
Oh, I would say, oh gosh, this is difficult, because I live in a small town, and it's...
Lompoc.
Yeah, Lompoc. None of y'all know what that is. It's okay. It's really difficult to find a community there, and almost, especially if it's almost non-existent and just you and just someone else that you know. So that's why I think the internet is such an amazing place, because you can go out and find a community there to relate to and talk to, and to find support from if you're not able to come out to your family, or you don't feel safe enough to come out to your family or your friends. And yeah, so I would say just find, someone you can trust and feel safe with.
Because one person can save your life. If you feel like you have that one person, that one good friend, that aunt, that somebody, it really helps.
And education, for sure. I feel like the easiest way to hate something is because it's a lot easier to say, I hate this, versus I don't know.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I feel like the more we ask questions and the more helpful we are to people who are asking questions, because I know so many people, if someone doesn't know something, they attack them for not knowing, and that doesn't do anything for anyone. It makes the community look bad, and then they don't get to learn what it is, so they may be against it. It's so much easier to say, you don't know this, let me educate you on this, especially in those small towns.
Hannah, go, jump in.
There's just I guess the one thing I would say to people who are growing up in an unsafe environment or a homophobic environment is just to stick around, because the world is better with you in it. So.
Yes.
Tyler, thanks.
I was also going to say, you may think that you are the only LGBTQ plus person in your community. Just because they're not out doesn't mean they're not there.
Oh, they're there.
They are there.
They're there.
Walk among you. And I just feel like it may seem like you're the only one, but they're all around you in town. They're all around you in the world. And I like to think that
it's fun to play the game. It's fun to be like, I wonder,
I don't speculate. But I will say, I like to think that bigots are dying out. They literally, that mentality and those people physically are getting.
It's true. It's
Their
true.
time is done.
Bye.
Bye.
Your generation won't know the hate that I understood, because that's how we were all raised, a little racist, homophobic, all of it, just the casual conversations we all had. And now as a grown-up, I'm so lucky and grateful to learn from the young people that, we don't talk like that. We don't think.
I will find
Grandpa.
that, just around in life, I think that the number of people that are uncomfortable with casually racist things and casually homophobic things that people say is growing. There's usually one person in a room that says something ignorant, and then everybody else is like,
Right.
Pause.
I was going to ask you guys, because I know you guys support a lot of smaller YouTubers, and some of them are here. Is there any, LGBTQ content creators that we don't know about that maybe you could pimp out and just say, we should be watching these people? Can anybody think of anybody just to kind of give them a little love?
Thy Native. He is bomb. He is a LGBT creator.
Say the name again.
Say the name again.
Lateef. Thy Native.
Okay.
Lateef.
Okay. What's the content?
He is a comedian, and he also he does skits and talks about pop culture and stuff like that. And he'll also talk about things that are happening in the LGBT community. He's got his glow up. He is very fine, and he is also got great hair. So check him out.
Tyler, anybody?
I'm trying to think. Anybody else got one? I'm trying to rack my brain right now.
Ryan Casada is one I always recommend.
Ryan Casada, that's right. He was
is
on the
a
playlist one.
singer-songwriter, and he's a transgender activist.
Oh,
He was on the last panel
Yes.
with us.
Yes.
I love
Great
one that's not a content creator, but just a musician that I really support.
Do it.
You guys should check out Mal Blum. They are amazing at music. Yeah, great. I mean, it's just a recommendation.
And yeah.
There's so many of the like everyone from Matt Schuler to Dan and Brian to Heartbeat, who's I think
Heart,
backstage.
where you at,
I
girl?
love Heart.
Oh God, so many pressure. They're just so.
No, that's good. Caitlin said a lot of times, you tweeted this like 18 times, so I will read it. Do you have any advice for LGBTQ plus on coming out to their anti-gay parents? Are you
Have a
cheering
safety
for
net.
Is that you, dear?
Hello.
How do you come out to anti-gay parents? It's tough.
Safety net. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Is just to make sure that you just have a contingency plan if stuff goes wrong. So, because again, safety should be a #1 priority right now. So just make sure that there's a place you can crash if need be. Make sure that if you don't feel safe doing it by yourself, there's someone there with you. Anything else I'm trying to think of?
I got a question I want to ask everybody.
Go.
This just crossed my mind the other day. Do you have any advice for parents who need to come out to their kids? Because let's be real, like there's a lot of people who are who are older, who aren't growing up in this time, but get to see all these wonderful moments happening for their community that they haven't gotten a chance to be a part of.
I would say, I think it goes both ways. My piece of advice is when you're coming out to somebody, it's not like you're announcing this new human that you are. You're announcing to them, hi, who you knew me as, there's more to me, and I think you deserve to know the rest.
But parents, and think about it specifically,
I think it goes both ways.
But your kids, like when you're like a parent to a child, you're less of a person because you're their parent. And like people growing up realizing, oh, my parents are just people too, is its whole it's its whole phase. But if you are a parent is thinking about maybe starting to explore that journey, what's the advice?
I don't.
Time.
That's another
Yeah.
panel.
Well, it's also like I don't say there's never going to be a perfect time to do it. There's definitely going to be bad times to do it. I kind of did it at a bad time with my parents at the dinner table, but I was 4
During
years.
prayer.
Yeah. No. It was.
Hashtag
It was.
amen.
My parents were lecturing my brother because they didn't approve of who he was dating, and so I'm like, well, Ryan, you think they don't approve of who you're dating? I'm dating a dude, and then it got really quiet. I had also been drinking most of the day because I was trying to build up courage because I was terrified. So definitely don't do that. Be sober.
I'm going to say something to you about coming out to your parents, and this is for everybody. Sometimes I have to tell this to kids. I don't use this word, but I'll use it to you. I'll say it nicely. Sometimes parents are a-holes, and just because your father knocked up your mother doesn't mean that they're a parent. If they don't accept you, do not spend the rest of they were a sperm donor. So don't spend the next 20, 30 years of your life trying to connect with somebody who might just not be a good parent. So many people, it's true. So hopefully you have other people in your life who love and support you, but don't chase that relationship. Really don't. Or a sister or an unsupported person, don't be thinking about it for 20 years. They don't accept me. That is their loss. You will find people who support you.
I think it's important, though, to realize that anyone can change. So a parent who isn't accepting at first, they can end up being that person who walks with you in a pride parade. And the same thing goes for children. One of my really good friends came out as transgender and a lesbian when she was 40 to her son, and it took some time. But it takes time for anyone, and it's a process for anyone, including acceptance. Children can do it, parents can do it, anyone can change. Even if it seems hopeless, it can get better. So don't shut them out because
Miles.
they have the chance to come back.
Thanks,
Yep.
Steph. Miles.
When I came out to my mom, yes, that was good. When I came out to my mom, it took a little while because she just wasn't. She was like, "You are? Oh, I don't know how I feel about that." It was just really awkward, and plus, we were all in the same house together, so she had to see me wear these crazy outfits, and she always had something to say about it. But I was just like, you know what, Mom, you can sit down. It's okay. I know you're paying the bills, but still. But it took a little while. But once I moved out, I would hear her, like, Miles, you got that lipstick. Can I borrow that lipstick real quick?
It does, yeah. It can take being visible speaks volume. Because if you talk to people who like change their mind about being gay or anything, it's not because someone read a sign or was a protester or heard whatever. It's because they had that day-to-day interaction with a person that said, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, maybe this doesn't dictate their entire existence. It's one of the reasons why visibility is important, is because being out there and being visible, even just living your life, you are affecting change, so that's a good thing. And then I'm trying to think.
I love this
Something
question.
else.
Let me just jump in because, yeah, there's a really good
Sure.
question. I really wanted to talk about this. Why do you think, and this is, excuse me, isn't that _lovely? Why do you think gender identity is so often lumped in with sexuality and shouldn't be? I mean, we've learned recently.
Well,
That's a good question.
I totally agree.
yeah.
It was what we talked about last year. At the end of that, I was like, gender identity and sexuality. Like, gender identity deserves as much attention and like support and discussion and understanding as like sexuality has gotten up until this point. So I think it's like, you know, I cannot speak to gender identity stuff aside from what I know about how my relationship to my gender and my body. So I think it's a wheelhouse that needs to be opened by the people who need to talk about it.
Very true. If I had to venture a guess, too, I would also say it's probably because there's strength in numbers. You know, it is, we can accomplish more together than we can on our own. But at the same time, I think one of the consequences of that is that, yeah, certain members of that community have enjoyed kind of more attention and more progress than others. So it's definitely important to, while, you know, yeah, marriage equality is a big victory, I think, in terms of sexuality. But I think we also need to make sure that, you know, when we're saying the work's not done, it's even if the work is done for, like, us, even if, like, my group of people achieves equality, there are still other people out there that definitely need my help, you know,
Thank
or
you.
our help.
Steph, do you have something?
A fun little history lesson. According to the American Psychiatric Association, when homosexuality was viewed as something that was a mental problem, they would also associate that with masculinity and femininity, which is why gender identity was categorized into that, and then gender identity disorder was more of a mental thing. But then in the 1980s, once we got more rights and they began to segregate the two, it just became harder for society to separate it. They are completely different, but I also think it's better for all of us to unite together versus try and separate each other apart.
Steph for president.
And also,
The more you know.
I was talking to one of my best friends who's a straight male, and we watched the Caitlyn Jenner's thing on 2020, and we had a full conversation the next day. He's like a 47-year-old man. He said, Michael, I never knew there was a difference between sexual orientation and sexual identity. So, I mean, again, that's one grown-up man
not a lot
who
of people
never
do.
thought about it until then. This is a wonderful question, Joe. Shout up, Joe. I love this question. LGBT history is seriously lacking from American history high school curriculum.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this question. If you could add one event to it, what would it be and why? So if you could just think about a moment in LGBT history, it could be cute or funny or sincere, but what is something that we should be telling the kids about? That's
How
great.
LGBT
What a
Pride
wonderful
started,
question.
because no one knows how that got started.
Again, I'm
How
sorry.
Pride
how
started.
How Pride started with the Stonewall riots
Yes.
and Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes. It was a bunch of hustlers and a bunch of drag queens got sick
And
of putting up
trans
with
women of
crap.
color as well.
Right. They got sick of putting up with crap from the cops, and they're just like,
Yes.
you know what? No,
And they went and
we're gonna burn this mother down. You know.
Oh, here's a good one. Madeline says, and this will be helpful. How can one handle discrimination from a religious standpoint? Did any of you grow up in religious households where you were
Shalom.
raised? So okay. And anybody else raised in a?
Peace be with you, and also with you.
Do you have any advice for dealing with the God argument, which is always troublesome? You know, you're going to hell and the Bible and all that.
You know, I like to say I'm Jewish, but my family was really big on that. But I think the important thing is, oh, thank you. You can
What a
still
mensch,
be
what a
religious
mensch.
and gay, just like it's an onion. Even like Ingrid was saying, being gay is a part of who you are. Being religious could be a part of who you are. One doesn't cancel out the other. Be you, be who you want, love who you want, and love what you want to do.
I think it's also about making sure they're realizing that there are plenty of LGBT Christians and you can be religious and be LGBT. I see people do it every day. Actually, Eliel Cruz is one of my fave people because he's bisexual. He's also Seventh-day Adventist. So it's about surrounding yourself with the right people in the right community. Yeah, you don't have to pick and choose. You can eat your cake, have it too, whatever you want, girl.
You guys, we only have about a minute and a half left, so I just want to say, well, thank you first, but go down the line, Tyler, and just for anybody out there who might need a little right word or a little something or any
A white word?
a white
Go
word.
down the line.
I
Say
can't speak.
something.
Any final
Perfect.
thoughts for the audience or any just advice or just best tips practice? Just 30 seconds.
I love you. You are not alone. There are people that care about you. If you are not surrounded by them yet, you will be soon.
Thank you. Steph?
Don't stop asking questions. Don't think you need to know the answers right away. It's not a race. Everything will come. Education is key. Everyone matters. Every sexuality, gender is valid, and recognize that in everyone else.
And shout out to the pansexuals who are tweeting me. We acknowledge the
Yes.
pansexuals. Miles.
Learn to love yourself as you are. Don't change yourself for other people, and just exude.
I love it.
loveliness.
RJ. Just exude.
You are the only one responsible for making yourself happy. So
Amen.
get up in the morning and own your happiness.
Ingrid.
You are so worthy of love and a wonderful, happy life, and we all deserve our best chance.
Hannah Hart, close us out.
YouTube.com/Karcha.
End scene. End scene. I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank you guys for the great questions.
Thank y'all.
Let's hear it for our sexual ed.
guys.
Tyler, Steph, Miles, RJ, Ingrid,
Thanks,
and Hannah.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Like,
You guys are all so pretty. Yes.